Hello, I'm Carissa with Grisaille, and we are going to be painting some seashells in this video. I think that our Summer Shells limited edition watercolor card is super fun, and I've painted it a few times already, and I will show you my examples here. We're just gonna have some fun and paint together. And this kit is fun because you can do the shells in different colors and go for more of a realistic look or more colorful depending on your preference. So this is what is included. We have this beautiful envelope that contains our supplies. So if you take a look at this, it's in this nice vellum sleeve, and there are some goodies in here. So we've got a blank that we will be painting on top of, so this is what this looks like, and reuse Legion Stonehenge hot press watercolor paper, which is very beautiful. And then we have this color recipe guide, and this is really helpful because for this project we are using the 3 primary colors. So your little paint, so cute, comes in this envelope. So this is magenta, yellow, and light blue. Now we're going to be doing all of these seashells with just these 3 colors. And it's amazing how many different colors you can make with the primary. So if you haven't done that before, if you get this kit, definitely try out and experiment with the colors. It's really fun. Then you also get a couple of really cute seashell stickers. And this was kind of my inspiration for this one here, kind of going off of this purpley, really pretty design, but you can do these in whatever colors you like. All right, so I'm going to get started painting. So put this here, and then have our paint. I'm also going to be using our basins. These are ceramic heart basins that you can get at grisaille.com. I have one with water and the other I'm going to be using for mixing. So all you need to do this is the Summer Shells kit, a mixing palette or mixing card, and a paper towel, and you can do this painting. So I'm going to start out by wetting my paint and putting it on this palette here, because once I put these paints on my palette, it just makes it easy to blend and mix, and you really only need a few little taps of color on your palette here. I always dirty my palette so fast, or my paint water rather. I'm gonna get this on here. Use my paper towel, and we have this beautiful light blue. So with these 3 shades, we're going to paint this scene. So for this painting, I'm going to kind of base it off the original reference. So I'm going to stick with a little bit more natural colors. But the fun thing about shells is that you can do them in all sorts of colors and just have fun with it. But I'm going to make kind of a pinky, peachy color. And start at the base of the inside of this shell. And then as I go up, I'm going to be a little bit lighter with the color, adding more water as I go. I think this is the perfect piece for the end of summer, because it just gives you those beachy vibes, and it's really fun, and it's a nice one to display in your home or give as a gift. I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow. And like I said, you only need a touch of these paints. They're very pigmented and will last you through the piece. Now I might leave a little bit of white in here just because that kind of acts as a shine. And then for the shell, also going to use yellow and a little bit of magenta to create that natural kind of color. I'm going to be generous with the water, because with watercolor, water controls how light your color is. Or with other mediums, you add white, but with watercolor, you just use more water. And if you want it to be more saturated, just use less. And I just kind of work in light layers, and I like a little bit of splotchiness for my colors, because I just feel like when you allow the colors to kind of stand out a bit, it just is even prettier. So you'll see that I don't perfectly fill in the entire thing. And I'm focusing slightly more pigment around the edges for a little bit of shading. So I'm using a little bit more magenta in those shadows there. And on the lines. And then you can use hints of different colors throughout. And that's what I think is the most fun part about painting, but especially with this piece, you can just have some fun adding some different pops of color. I might add a little bit of blue up here in the shadows, maybe a little bit here. If you do that, you want to make sure that you have more of a pink base where you put the blue, or else you'll just get kind of a muddy green shade. So you want to be careful about your color placement if you're really wanting beautiful colors that go nicely together. And I find when you incorporate different shades of blues and purples in the shadows, it gives a really nice depth and looks a little bit more realistic than if you just shade with brown or gray or black, because you're kind of getting the undertones, and I think it looks really beautiful. And you can add in those little colors in the shadows. And then I'm leaving kind of the tips of the shell very light, and that's going to create more of a three-dimensional appearance. Kind of make it look like it's raised. So adding some texture there. And you can learn all these things and experiment on just this one mini project. That comes with some other goodies too. And it just helps you to have something that you can just sit down and paint. All the supplies are there, and just makes it nice and easy for a relaxing evening. And that goes for all of our watercolor kits. We make them beginner friendly, so you can always just pick it up when you feel like it and be able to complete it in a session or two. I just love all the little colors in here. Doing this whole thing with just 3 shades is a fun challenge to me, because I love just using a limited palette, because it makes you think a little bit more about what colors you're using where. And then I think I'm going to do a little bit of blue here at the bottom. And if you want to play around with color, you can grab our watercolor collection. This comes with all 15 of our paint dots that are from Holbein. These are really high quality paints and such a beautiful arrangement of colors that you can use for any project. You can also use the exercise included in here, and that's going to help you swatch your colors and get familiar with all the different shades. As you can see here, we have a warm palette, cool palette, and we also, this is a pretty generous amount of paint considering how pigmented these paints are. They are so rich and so beautiful that you will have these for multiple projects. They're really nice. And you also have a space to swatch them. And then you get this color wheel. And this is great because you can fill this in. And you can also go to our website and be able to watch a video on the basics of color theory and color mixing. So if you get this collection, that is a really fun way to play with these watercolors. And you can have all the colors you need. This is 15. And for this project, we do provide you with the 3 primary colors, which you can see creates quite a variety of colors. You can also grab these basins and other accessories, but we have a couple of classes, and we also have lots of freebies over there, so you can grab those. You can add a little bit more magenta in here. And like I said, with this piece, I am leaving a little bit of white space here and there. And I'm doing these lines, and I'm following the lines in the shell that you can see. You can just paint right over, which I love. There's no bleeding of the ink, but I love just kind of going that direction. It just makes it look a little bit more realistic. Gives it some shape. All right, I'm loving that shell. I'm really happy with that. I think it's looking good. So now I'm gonna move on to these shells. And let's see, I think we'll go, this one will be a light blue. light, nice pastel blue. And then this shell here will be yellow. And you can reference this example here that's on the cover that comes with the kit, and I'm going loosely based off of that, but I'm also doing my own little twist on it. I like to paint it a little bit different each time, because I have done this one a few times because I really do like the different little shapes of the shells. I love seashells and I just think they're so pretty. So I like to see how many different colors I can use on these. Because you can do more of a natural look, but still have it be colorful. And that's what I'm trying to do here. It's just like add some more pops of color. And you can see that all I did was wet the paints on here. I'm not even working from the paint dots. Now sometimes I do, but other times I just take a little dot of this and put it on my palette. You can see I've already painted quite a bit just by taking a little bit off. And we'll do the same with yellow. I'm gonna reload that a little bit. So these paints can last. Add a little bit of orange in here. And I'm holding my brush kind of in the middle of the handle, and this is letting me be loose. And because I find when you tighten up on your paintbrush, it can make your painting a little bit stiff. So I like to hold it at least halfway, if not further, for even more of a natural, like, kind of adding texture. Just depends on what you're going for, but I like kind of loosening my hand on the brush a bit. Right, now we'll do this little sand dollar. I think I'm going to do half a very light yellow and then the bottom half a really light blue, and then leaving some white space in the middle, because I don't want to make green here, but I want to give the appearance that it's white while still having some color, because that's what I will do if I'm painting something that's supposed to be white. I will do blue for the shadows and yellows for the highlights. And I know it looks a little bit crazy, but once it dries, you can always go back over it as well, or kind of take some of that pigment and dab it on your paper towel. I will do that a lot. I'll put down some color, and then if it's a little bit too much, I'll take it off. And that in kind of a way is like staining the paper to the color that you want. And then I'm going to take some more of this blue, and now that this is dried, just add a few little spots here and there for some texture. Love that. And then we'll add some magenta to this one. And a little bit of orange. And then this one, I think we'll do purple. So I'm gonna mix the light blue and the magenta together and make this a purple shell. Oh yes, that's beautiful. And what's nice about using the primary shades is that your colors look more cohesive because you're just kind of gradually adding more color to kind of like mixing it through as you go gradually, and then adding a little bit of blue. And then a little bit of magenta. Beautiful. Now we just have some variety of color in here. All right, now we're going to do the sand. So for the sand, I'm going to mix the magenta and the yellow together. That's going to make orange. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this blue and mix it through here. And that's going to create more of a brown. Because when you mix the primary shades, you get neutrals. You get black if you mix them all together. But since I want just kind of a dulled down kind of orangey brown shade, I think that's perfect. And I like to first go in with a darker color, or at least not use as much water, and shade the shells, the underneath, because that just makes them pop more. And you can use a darker shade. So I'm going to grab a little bit more color off of my palette. And then we're going to put these colors down again. Just to get enough color to where I can use it throughout all of the sand. Just mixing a little bit at a time, and then once I get the right color, do a little bit more blue. Looks pretty good. And then now we have some nice sand color. Just going in and shading underneath of each shell. And then from there I'll add more water, and that will thin out the color and make it lighter. Perfect, and now we'll add a generous amount of water, and I want my sand to be pretty light. Just adding a little bit more, just a touch of blue. That is perfect. And what is so nice about the Legion hot press watercolor paper is that it can take a lot of water. And once it dries, it will dry flat. So I can add quite a bit of water on here. And then when you're done, you can even go back over with colored pencil, or you can use marker, you can use pens, you can use anything on top of this paper. It is amazing. It's my favorite paper for watercolors, and I think it's very beginner friendly because it can take so much. Where I used to think that I didn't really like watercolor that much because I just didn't like cold pressed paper with the ridges. And when you're used to going from drawing to watercolor, it's a little bit more of a difficult learning curve to go and paint on a very textured surface. And then if you want to add more precise detail, and especially going with pencil, it's a little bit more tricky. So that is why we use Legion hot press watercolor paper, because it is so nice and very easy. Mixing a little bit more of my sand color. And then I'm going to go right up to the water. It just makes you kind of reminisce of times at the beach. The beach is always so relaxing. And like I said, I am adding quite a bit of water to my paper here. You can do a wet on wet technique if you'd like. So wet your paper first and then drop the color in and blend it from there. I'm doing wet on dry. And then I can rinse my brush and then go in and clean up any spots that I need to. And then also get in closer in some of these edges, because it always looks best if you can go in and be a little more precise and get really close to the subject. And also, since I'm going in with these shadows again, I'm going to add a little bit more blue. That's just going to give us a bit more of a, very subtly, a cooler shadow tone. Get right up on those shadows. Love it. Okay, so now we're going to do the ocean. So I have my palette here. You can see I haven't used too much at all yet. I am going to clean my palette, which is very easy with these heart basins. Once it is dirty, you can just take a paper towel and clean that right up, and start with a fresh mixing palette. My water's a little bit dirty, but that's okay. All right, so I'm gonna take my light blue and put it here. And I like to kind of create a variety with the blues for the ocean. It just adds a little bit more of a realistic look and looks very pretty. So what I'm gonna do is lay down this blue shade and then take just a touch of yellow, put it over here, and just a touch of magenta, and put that on the side. So I'm going to go in with this magenta and blue, and I'm going to create a deeper shade. You can see how this is a little bit deeper looking than this blue. And I'll actually add a little bit more of each, just so you can tell here. Beautiful. So I'm actually going to put this at the horizon, and the water is going to get lighter as it comes closer to the shore. So I'm just going to start with this blue. I'm also going to mimic the same thing for the sky. So whatever color I'm putting down, I'm also going to add into the sky. And then I'm going to leave room for some clouds too. And then I'm going to use just our standard light blue shade here. And you can leave a little bit of white in the water too for some shine, or you can always go back over it with an acrylic paint pen, which is probably what I will do for some highlights. And I feel like once you add in the sand and the ocean, it all just comes together and it looks beautiful. Just gonna add some more blue here. And then add a little bit more water as it's getting closer, so it's lighter and that's creating more depth. I'm going to do the same thing over here, just a little bit. And I'm going to take a little bit more of this blue. And then I'm going to add a little bit of yellow, and we're going to create this more tealish color, or sea foam. Sea foam is a good name for this shade because this is the color that's made in the ocean. It's really coming up to the sand. I'm going to leave the very edge of this white. And isn't that so pretty, having the different shades? And you can just keep working and layering these colors until you're satisfied. I like it to be pretty saturated because it just makes all the other colors pop and really come together nicely. So you can either do the sky solid or you can add some blue around some white space, and that's going to create clouds. Which I think looks so pretty. Just like that. And then I think for the final touch, I'm going to just go in here and do some extra shading. So I'm going to clean my palette again. And then we'll just add some finishing touches. And I think I will go in with a white pen and maybe add some highlights. And I think that would be a nice finishing touch as well. So let's add a little bit magenta and yellow again. Mix these together. It looks a little too red, so add some more orange. And then a touch of blue. And I'm actually going to do a little bit more blue this time. There we go. Till it's kind of a golden brown. And I think just kind of going in one more time to really deepen and bring that together, it's going to make this piece improve. And I think that's a lot of times what we need to do in our artwork is just go in with just do another layer, just do a few more details, and it can make a big difference. Push your values, leave some, and then you'll have a piece that's a little more realistic. You can see that there's some texture to the sand, and I'm just going to kind of dot around here, and it can be sloppy, but it does make a difference when you can add some of that texture back in, so it's not all one color. And even if you do that and then you add more water and just kind of splotch it around, that's what's going to create that natural texture. And you can always take a paper towel and kind of splotch, and that will pick up some of the excess color, but then also create some more texture. So I like to do this a lot because it just creates a little extra natural texture. And you can add some more back in if you'd like. And since this just wants to be brown so bad, I'm going to blend this in. I see those colors bleeding on here, but that might look better anyways. And then, let's see. Add a few more little finishing touches. You can add a touch of blue on the edges here. I like getting a good variety of color on the shells. So a little bit more pink. Like I said, you can splotch some color, and even if it's too much, just pick it up with a paper towel. You just do a few little dabs. Just like that. All right, what do you guys think? I hope that you have a lot of fun painting your seashell. I just have so much fun, and look how much paint we have left over. This is enough to do this multiple times. So hope that you have fun and you experiment with your colors. This was all done with just magenta, yellow, and light blue, just the primary colors. And you can do this and so much more with these, but please be sure to go to grisaille.com, check out our other kits and accessories, and if you're interested in getting these basins or the seashell project, we have those available there along with freebies. So be sure to check it out, and I hope that you join us in the next